Hey there, and welcome to the first episode of Pest Control Legends. I'm your host, Danny Leibrandt. In this episode, you're going to learn how to do Facebook ads for pest control from Jake Sheldon. If you don't already know Jake, he is one of the biggest names in pest control marketing. He originally started his agency, Pest Customers Fast, about 6 years ago, doing Facebook ads for pest control companies. Over that time, he grew to 368 clients and ended up selling his agency. Now he's a partial owner in 9 different home service local businesses, including a $1 million pest control company where he spent millions of dollars across Facebook ads for all of them. Jake also owns a VA staffing company as well as Pest Control Millionaire, a pest control marketing program that he runs with Jonas Olson, one of the other top guys in pest control marketing. And fun fact, I'm actually releasing an SEO course in their program soon and have had both Jake and Jonas on my other podcast, Local Marketing Secrets. So regardless, Jake is a killer in the space and I'm so excited for this episode today. So without further ado, thanks for coming on the show, Jake.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. I appreciate you letting me be
Yeah.
on here.
For sure, man. So we're going to be talking all about Facebook ads for pest control. First off, what do people need to know about Facebook ads for pest control? Like, why are they so important? Why do they matter?
So I guess the first thing that I want to say is you can get a lot of sales with Facebook if you do it properly.
Mm.
I've had numerous of different clients that have done well over 1,000 sales, even for my personal pest control company. I usually do anywhere from 500 to 750 general pest control sales just from Facebook. That's not SEO or Google or anything like that. So you can do a lot. However, there's quite a few things you need to get right when it comes to Facebook ads. So, and I can go many.
Yeah. Let's dive in. Tell me.
So one of the things you need to do right is get your targeting right. A lot of people will go in there and they'll run like boosted ads or an awareness ad or something like that. And a lot of the times you're going to be just burning money. You would have a better chance of, piling up money in a cul-de-sac and light it on fire because at least people would like be drawn to the fire.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
In my opinion, I think for pest control ads, I would highly, highly recommend lead gen ads. They are the best, in my opinion. And that's just what we've seen over the last 6 years of running pest control ads, even for my own company. So targeting is important, and you can't really target on the awareness ads or a boosted post is the reason why I say that. So with lead gen ads, you can target like the demographic, like the age group, if they're male or female, what zip codes. You can get very, very nitty gritty with it, is why we like it. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, Facebook ads don't work. They don't work. But yet they've bought stuff from Facebook before.
Yeah.
They could talk to their spouse about, like pizza. And then all of a sudden a pizza ad pops up.
Uh-huh.
Like Facebook's so good at knowing what you like and what you want. But yet for some weird reason, a lot of service-based industries don't think Facebook ads work. But yet they see it on their feed all the time while they're scrolling. They're like, man, I was just talking about, Nike shoes yesterday, and all of a sudden Nike shoes popped up on my timeline.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing is we can have that happen for pest control as well. People can be talking to their spouse about pest control. They're looking it up on Google or wherever they're looking at it. We can have, if the interest is done properly, we can have people scrolling through the feed and finding those pest control ads. Just has to be done properly.
Yeah.
So targeting's definitely very, very important.
Yeah. I want to ask you because I feel like a lot of pest control owners that I've talked to actually have tried running Facebook ads before, but like you said, most of them aren't successful. So what are all these companies getting wrong? Is it targeting, like you said, or is it something else?
There's a lot of different variables with Facebook ads. It definitely is not beginner friendly. There's so many different things that you can do on there. There's so many different options and buttons, and it even is overwhelming if you have never ran an ad before looking at everything that you can do on there. So targeting is definitely number one that I see it gets messed up right away in the ad set level. The number two reason why I see people's ads don't work is they don't have a good offer. They just have something that says like, call now or $50 off your next service, or they'll say like, do you have ants in your house? Something that is not an irresistible offer. I mean, you, me, and Jonas talk about this all the time, is creating
Uh-huh.
an irresistible offer, almost creating an offer so good that someone would be silly not to do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's what you need to do for your service-based business, in this case, pest control. You have to make it so irresistible, someone they're like, oh my gosh, I need to choose this pest control company.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if you look like everyone else out there, because let's be honest, if you're a pest control owner now, right now, you've probably tried the $50 off offer. Everyone
Hmm.
has, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
everyone has.
So you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to come up with new offers, creative offers, things that stick out and make you different from your competition. And what's funny, Danny, is I've talked to quite literally thousands of pest control owners,
Yeah.
and all of them, and this is no knock to anyone, but all of them truly believe they are the best at servicing homes. Every single person, every single one. I'm like, so like what makes you different from your competition? Like, what do you guys do? Do you create a valuable experience? Do you do any irresistible offers? They're like, well, I truly believe my service is the best in town. I'm like, well, I talked to 5 year other people that live in the same city and they all said the same thing.
Dang.
So that's why marketing is so important, is
Yeah.
because everyone thinks they are the best.
Mm.
And you might be the one who actually is the best. You
Hmm.
might be, but no one knows that truly, because it's just an opinion basis at that point, and no one knows until you do something about it.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that I like that aspect of taking some pride in your work. Like
Hmm.
I feel
Yep.
like you said, that's kind of a recurring theme in the pest control industry, that they genuinely take pride in it. Like, hey, we
Yes.
are the best company. We know the most about ants and spiders and all these different bugs. So I totally respect that, but there is a missing component on the marketing end. And again,
Yes.
relating to Facebook ads, I feel like this is almost a little bit controversial, but you think that you should only be running lead gen ads, no engagement or anything else?
So that's a loaded question for guys that are looking to get leads and leads now.
Mm,
Because most people are at the point in their business where they're like, if I'm going to spend money, I need to get a return.
yeah.
Some of the guys who are bigger, 7 figures plus, they're not as, it's not as like a dire need. Anyone who's
Hmm.
below that 7 figure mark usually is like, if I'm going to put in money, I have to get a return now,
Yeah.
like ASAP. So if that is you listening to this, I would definitely recommend lead ads. Now, if you're not in dire need of that return and you want to get your brand out there, and then you could run some retargeting ads, it's a whole nother story, but you can run an awareness campaign, get tons and tons of eyeballs. They call it reach on Facebook. You get tons and tons of eyeballs seeing your ad, and then you can retarget people who either watched a video or engaged with the content, and you can do retargeting ads back to an audience. Now, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of things you can do there, more high level stuff like build custom audiences and lookalike audiences, which Facebook does really, really well on that. Um, I guess we can dive into that a little bit too, but a lookalike audience on Facebook is when an audience looks like an audience that had been created. So you can either use a source audience, what they call a custom source audience. So let's say, for example, there's an HVAC company in town, and this HVAC company has the customers that you want. They're all in your demographic.
Uh-huh.
They all live in the zip codes you want. They all make the money that you want as customers, like for your pest control company, but they're HVAC. However, those people are probably customers that you want in your database.
Uh-huh.
So what you can do is you can grab that database, you can throw it into your custom audience on Facebook, and then you can tell Facebook that you want to create an audience that looks like that audience. And they call it a
Mm,
lookalike audience.
yeah.
It's incredible. However,
So would
go
would
ahead.
you say that's mandatory for Facebook ads? Does everyone need to be doing lookalike audiences?
No, it's extremely difficult to get audiences like that.
Mm,
You have to set up strategic partnerships on that.
okay.
You have to get permission to use audiences, or you can buy data, which data is very expensive for anyone who has never done it.
Mm,
So you can do it, it just makes your Facebook ads a whole lot more expensive on the front end to buy data.
Okay.
But if you have the money, then I would definitely suggest doing lookalike audiences because it makes your targeting so much more efficient. Your closing rates are going to be higher. Your data is going to be better. But you can buy that data and throw it into that custom audiences and then make a lookalike audience. It's not
Okay.
necessary to answer your question. You can build up an audience organically from Facebook's algorithm. It just takes a little bit longer, and you do have to go through some not so great leads. And that's one of the things that I think people get wrong with Facebook is their expectations with it. People are so used to getting really good calls from Google, like from their website ranking, and those calls are usually very good. They're also used to like Google LSA ads, like the local service ads. Those are also really high intent leads.
Yeah.
And so when they start running Facebook, they kind of expect the same quality, which is so far away from the truth.
Yeah.
So even with our company, we're really, really happy if we're selling about 35 to highest 40%.
Wow. Okay.
Some people might think that's really, really low, but for Facebook, it's actually fantastic. Average close rates on Facebook lead ads are about 20 to 30%. So they're pretty low because you're going to have about 40% of the leads that will just never answer back. There are people who just filled out the form just because they're like, you know what? I have a couple ants in my house. Yeah, whatever. I'll fill it out. I may use this someday. And then you text them, call them. They'll never answer. I don't know why to this day. I've been doing it for years and years and years. They'll just never answer.
Huh.
You can send them 100 texts and they'll never say anything. Don't know why.
Okay, so that's something to note is that you have to kind of lower your expectations. It's not going to be the same as any other platform. But with that in mind, what does the cost per lead then look like? Does that still make sense?
Yes. So I like to go based off cost per acquisition, and I can get to the cost per lead as well. But our cost per acquisition, I'm really, really happy with. If I'm going to sell a general pest service, I am very happy with anywhere from 75 to about $150 to acquire that customer. When I ran the marketing agency, our average cost per acquisition was about $100 to get a reoccurring general pest customer. And for most pest control owners I talk to, they're totally happy paying that to acquire a new customer. Some people aren't, but most people are. So that's usually what we see, anywhere from 75 to 150. Now our lead cost is anywhere, it gets all the way down to $10 sometimes, and then can get up to like $40 per lead, depending on season, zip code, all that good stuff. Usually the more wealthy the zip code is, the higher the lead cost is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I'd like to dive into what the ads actually look like themselves. So is there a picture? Is there a video? Is there a lot of text? Is there a little bit of text? What have you seen works the best for ads?
Yeah, so that goes back to the offer too. You want to have a very, very good offer, an irresistible offer in your area. And I'll actually give you a perfect example that someone could use. So in the past, like before I started running Facebook ads, we used to do our initials anywhere from $100 to about $300. I'd say the average initial is about $200. And for most pest control owners in the space, I usually see that's pretty average, is that initial. Now, however, I talked to a mentor a long time ago, and he's like, Jake, what's the most important thing to you in your business? And I was like, generating customers? He's like, okay, that's fair. He's like, but what kind of customers? I was like, ones that bring in lots of money.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that right? He's like, no. He's like, really think about this for a second. He's like, do you just want a one-time customer? Do you want reoccurring customers? And I was like, oh, definitely reoccurring customers. That's where all the money's made.
Yeah.
And termites and bed bugs and all that's great for revenue, right? But it's not going to come back the next year. So that is like when the light bulb went off in my head is like, okay, like I only want reoccurring customers because he explained to me the value of not just that year, but the reoccurring value of that year and the referrals I would get from that. And not to mention, this is where everything changed for me is the equitable value of the company.
Yeah.
So if you can build your company large enough, say I want to sell in 20 years from now, and you have a $10 million company, well, you can sell that $10 million company for $30 or $40 million because of the equitable value and the reoccurring customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the offers and everything that we're doing in our marketing. It's all revolved around our reoccurring stuff that we're doing. That's really all I care about. So going back to the Facebook is I'm looking at building reoccurring marketing. And so instead of that $200 initial that I wanted to get people on, because I just want to get the revenue. He's like, Jake, you need to figure out how to get people in the door. That's all that matters. Get as many people the door as quickly as humanly possible, because then you can sell them on your reoccurring service, because that's the only thing that matters. He's like, shoot, give them the service for free. And even he said, like, give them a coupon or something too. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So
yeah.
what I came up with was, it was kind of, I don't know, maybe we were the pioneers. Maybe, I'm not really sure, because we did it before a lot of people. Is instead of our $200 initial, we dropped it all the way to $67.
Wow.
So we did a $67 initial if they signed up for a year with us. If they chose not to sign up for the year with us, it was $200. It changed everything.
Pretty good deal.
Oh, and we had leads just flowing through. Now, the funny thing is, I even had people messaging me in town, other pest control owners, being like, oh, you're ruining the industry, you drop price too much, da-da-da-da-da. Like, they're all freaking out because they've been seeing my ads over and over and over.
Yeah.
And they're like, why, like, how can you even do it for that low? How are you making any money? Well, I wasn't. I was actually losing money on that front end, because the initial takes the longest. I'm spending the most time there, or my tech's spending the most time there. We're using the most chemical on the first initial. Like, I'm actually losing money on that initial, because my advertising costs plus technician insurance, all that stuff, right? However, I didn't care, because we did a follow-up 30 days later and started their quarterlies. And so that's where the money was made. And that's what a lot of people aren't willing to do for some reason, is they're not willing to even lose money or drop their initial, because they're so used to making quite a bit of profit on that initial. They're not willing to do that. But I was.
Yeah.
And I have been for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So that is an example of an irresistible offer. There's so many others that you could do. You could add in mosquitoes with that. You could do a $39 mosquito treatment and then give them their first general pest service for half off, or combining the offers, bundling stuff. You just need to do something in town that no one else is doing, and that sticks out above the competition. So that, of course, would go into market research and see what other people are doing. But
okay. Awesome.
That's exactly how I got started with doing the irresistible offer for my first pest control company, and why it exploded so fast.
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar, that mainly comes from Alex Hormozi's $100 Million Offers book, and just generally what he preaches on his YouTube channel and other socials. Anyone who hasn't read that book should totally read it. I mean, it has basically changed the game of marketing, and that's why Jake's been able to do something like that and make a ton of money from it, whereas you're actually willing to lose money on the upfront to then have that lifetime value of the customer, and they take the offer because it's an irresistible offer. I mean, maybe they're paying like, I don't know, $150 per visit, and now they get to pay $67, and I just saw a spider in my house, I might as well choose them, and it looks like a nice ad and everything. So that's definitely something to consider as well. So you need an awesome offer, but what does the media itself look like? Like, is it a photo with the offer on the photo, or is it a video? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do a variation of a bunch of different things. So it used to be just images is what we mainly did. However, I recently partnered with Jonas Olson, and he is a master at video. We've actually seen video is working quite well. The only downside to video is you have to make that media or that video, you have to make a lot of them. You have to adjust the content often. They call it creative fatigue on
Yeah.
Facebook. Whenever you hit creative fatigue, you need to switch the video or the picture or the carousel. You need to switch it up. And video goes quickly. So
Interesting.
so that's the only downside. It does work, and it does work well. It's just that you have to constantly do it. Which again, we both know Jonas. He's creating tons of content anyway, so it's no big deal to him. So I prefer images still. However, like I still run video ads. I just don't run as much ad spend in my video ads because it's a lot of work to create that content.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I'd kind of like to get into the infrastructure within the ad account. Again, it's going to be kind of hard to talk over on the podcast, but I'd like to get an idea of it. So do you have like multiple campaigns set up and then multiple ads within the campaigns? Like what does that look like? And can you do it very basic, or do you have to make it super complex?
No, it doesn't need to be super complex. The one thing that people would need to understand for sure is that you always need to do A/B split testing. Facebook's algorithm is designed to test. It's not designed just to do one campaign, one ad set, and one ad. And for people who have never ran ads in Facebook, all that means is the campaign is like a folder section. It's just like a Manila folder. And then your ad set is where you do all the targeting, like your gender, your age group, your demographics, if they like Reese's peanut butter cups, like anything.
Yeah.
That's all in the ad set. And then you have your ad levels where the actual image or video and ad copy and lead form and all that's created. So the most important thing is testing. Testing. And that's with any advertising medium, right? Is always be testing. Never be content with the result. Facebook wants you to spend more money on Facebook, of course. They're a business. So they always want you to be making your ads better, and they'll always hit creative fatigue no matter what. So
what is, just to kind of tie off that, what does that creative fatigue look like? Is that a few weeks or a few days?
Well, depending on your area and your population, one of the best examples I actually like to give is, and a lot of people know it, is the reason why I like to use it, is there was a Little Caesars campaign that they ran on Facebook and even on commercials, radio, and you might even remember it. It was a Little Caesars campaign where they were talking about there was no rules, and this guy he's like, oh my gosh, there's no rules, and he like takes off his shirt, and they're
I
like,
think I do remember that.
like, sir, you need to put your shirt back on. He's like, okay, there's one rule. Well, that campaign ran on Facebook, radio, TV for Little Caesars for a long time, and it worked very, very well. He was on a podcast talking about it. However, it still stopped. You don't see the commercial today. Just because it ran super well for a long time, longer than a normal campaign, you still have to change it up. The reason why I bring that pizza ad commercial up is pizza's still the same. Like the Little Caesars hot and ready pizza is always going to be the same.
Always the same.
But you have to frame it in a different way, create different offers, create different commercials. Because if people see the same commercial over and over again, they hit a funny part of their brain where it's like the reticular activating system is where if people see the same thing over and over, they start to brush over. It's like the opposite of, if you think about a red Tesla, you'll go see a red Tesla everywhere. So if you see the same ad over and over again, your mind just kind of puts it in the back burner.
Yeah.
However, if you keep coming up with new content, it's new. It's stuff that it grabs your attention. So that's all we're doing on Facebook is disruptive marketing, grabbing people's attention, even if it's just general pest control forever until, let's say 30 years from now, general pest hasn't changed any. Like it's all the same. We use the same chemical and everything. Just because it's the same doesn't mean you don't want to stop changing your advertising. You always want to come up with new ways to pitch that.
Yeah. No, that is so good. Disruptive marketing. And also because pest control is kind of boring. It's kind of the same thing over and over. So I think it's even more important to frame it as something new, like you were talking about. And a great analogy I like, I've been watching a lot of Mr. Beast lately, a lot of, not his videos, but podcasts that he's been on, because he's actually incredibly smart.
Yes.
And he keeps referring to the purple cow analogy, which is kind of the same thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. There's a whole book based on it, but essentially when you're marketing, you want it to always be something completely new that no one's ever seen before. So if you're maybe driving on the highway or driving, I don't know, near a farm and you see a cow, it's like, it's just a cow.
Yeah,
but when you see a purple cow, maybe it's like bright purple, maybe it's even got some horns or something. You're like, whoa, and you're going to remember that for the next few days, maybe even the next few years.
Yeah.
So the same thing should kind of apply to your marketing. It should be something completely new that no one's ever really seen before, right?
Yeah, I like that. Purple cow. I'm going to get that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, no, there's a whole book on it, which Mr. B said he didn't grab it from the book, but I guess this kind of philosophy has been around for a while. So I want to read that, and it's a really good kind of principle as a whole, because what I've seen for pest control companies, not only are they not remaking and really making new kind of ads, but they're also doing the same as everyone else in their area. So it's like everyone's just seeing all the same pest control ads over and over. I mean, no one's thinking any different. But I think in this way, you can actually really stand out because everyone's basically doing the same stuff. It's like a super basic offer. Maybe it's just like a basic engagement ad. If you can really catch people's attention and figure out how to capitalize on that, then that'll be huge.
Yes, no, absolutely. And one thing to say about like the purple cow analogy too was something that sticks out. A lot of people aren't grabbing the attention from the scrollers, I guess you could call it, everyone. Yeah. Like some of the largest companies too are doing ads where, and I don't want to offend anyone, but it's a lot of times it's a technician with his arms folded leaning against his pest control truck. And it's like, call today to end your pest control needs or whatever it may be, something that's pretty generic. And they don't even have a pain point in there. That's like marketing 101 is have the actual pain point in there. And to answer your question from earlier is like what you want to actually even put in the image or the videos is actually have a pain point. Have a spider crawling across the screen or have a giant spider in the actual advertising. So it like scares people when they're scrolling.
Yeah.
You want to create that response of disruptive, purple cow, which I like that. Like you want to create
I've seen that's what Jonas does in a lot of his content. That's why it performs so well, because it's like a crazy spider or I don't know, it's a mouse or a rodent, but whatever, and it totally catches you off guard. I think that's actually what people should be focusing on in pest control, because there's not too much to play off of other than pests are like scary and annoying and weird. Like, oh my, there's why are there 1,000 ants in my house? Like that is just something like most people have never seen before. Like I think I saw one of his videos, maybe it was like disrupting a hornet's nest or something, and now they're all flying around everywhere. It's like that disrupts you. And I think that's, even though it's not a very sexy industry, that's something to definitely get people's attention, is using, maybe it's a spider, maybe it's some kind of scary pest that kind of catches people off guard, and now they're hooked.
Exactly. Because people buy pest control based off pain points. A lot of other industries, you do it off of experience or desires. Like if you're a medical spa, like you're doing off the desire to like look better, like a lip injection or Botox or whatever. Like people buy that stuff like crazy because it's desire. It's not a pain point. And that's why it can be harder to sell pain point businesses because that's what it is. It's not like you're not like desiring to buy pest control. You're not like, oh, I can't wait to buy pest control today. But people get excited, to get a massage, or they get excited to, get Botox, or they get excited to go to a basketball game, like an NBA game. Like those are exciting things to buy. Pest control is not exciting to buy. So you have to disrupt people, hit their pain points. And so they're like, oh man, oh my gosh, I do need to buy pest control. Oh my gosh, like I didn't really know I needed it this bad until I saw this ad. That's like great.
Yeah. No, and honestly, you need to get a little meticulous about it. You have to figure out like what's gonna strike in people's brains. Like honestly, because a lot of the people buying on Facebook for pest control, it's usually homeowners, and it's usually the wife that's, maybe they're worried about their family, maybe they just saw a crazy pest. So I think something that people could focus on is the danger to the children. I think that's actually a huge one that not many people do. But it's like, as a mother, that's like your number one priority is like, how are your kids doing? You want to make sure that they're safe. So I think that's a huge pain point to kind of harp on.
100%. We actually find in most areas, because I get this question a lot too, is like, hey, Jake, like, what's usually like your target for your ads? And I would say like 75% plus of the time, unless you're in certain parts of the country, like Florida, there's a lot of like 65 plus people that are in Florida. But most of the parts of the country, it's typically women that buy that are between the ages of 35 and 55. That's the typical age range. Now, I'm not saying that's all the time, because even in like certain zip codes, like it's funny, I was running ads in Dallas a few years ago for a buddy of mine, and he had a zip code that they're right next to each other. One was women between like 45 and 55, and literally across the street in the other zip code, it was men like 65 plus. And we're like, man, if we would have just went with the same demographic in these two zip codes, we would have missed out on a lot of customers.
Really?
So
interesting.
It can change even by zip code, which is kind of crazy. So
okay, weird.
Testing and watching it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So does it vary that much then? Like just to follow up with that, how do you know like what kind of audience you should be targeting?
So this is another point too, that a lot of people give up early. They'll run ads for a month, 2 months, shoot, even 3 months, and they'll give up. They're like, oh, shoot, it doesn't work. Well, if you started a pest control business and only tried it for 3 months, you wouldn't quit. But for some reason, people, when they advertise, they'll try it for 3 months and they'll quit. Or for your instance, they'll try SEO and they'll do it for 3 months and they'll be like, oh, SEO is not working. It's like, that is not how this works.
I know.
This takes some time, because it takes time for the algorithms to build up. They're not just going to give you tons of clients right away. And so you have to test. So the reason why is you're going to start off with the example I like to give is like a fishing example. You're going to start with a huge wide net. So say it's like Dallas, Texas, for example. You're going to put a large radius around Dallas, Texas, and you're going to get people to start coming through that pipeline. And that's going to gather data for you. If you don't have a custom audience, you're going to gather data. And over time, you're going to start narrowing that fish net. And you want to narrow it because you're going to have like red fish, blue fish, green fish. Those red fish are the people that you don't want. You're going to pick them out. You're going to turn off those ad sets. Well, the blue fish are okay. You can kind of keep them around, but they're not like the exact customer you want. But at least they're paying customers, and you can keep those around. So you're going to keep those ad sets on. Now your green fish are exactly who you want. You're going to start putting them into a custom audience, like telling. We use a system called GoHighLevel. We put them all in a specific pipeline, being like ideal customer. So as you start building up that data, you're like ideal customer, ideal customer, ideal customer. You throw that back into Facebook, custom audience, do a lookalike, and now you're only targeting people who look like your ideal customer.
Yeah.
That, of course, can't happen immediately. This takes a long time. However, during that entire time, you are still getting customers, which is fantastic. It's not like you're just wasting money for a year. You're still getting really good customers throughout that entire process and building data at the same time. But some people have heard me say this stuff like 6 years ago. They tried it for 2 months and quit. But if they would have started and kept going with it, 5-6 years ago, they would now have thousands of accounts if they would have just started then.
Dang. Okay, so part of it is building the data. And I've heard this before, so I'm glad to have it validated. You need to be putting enough money and be putting enough time into Facebook so that there's enough data for them to then give you the better audience and the really better targeted segment that you want to then target in the future. But you need to be putting enough time and money into it before you can start really seeing Facebook ads do well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this, but even when you start building out the ad, it will say it's on an auction. So Facebook actually works on an auction level. Not exactly like how you would see it like a car auction or anything, right? But
Yeah.
it does kind of work like that.
Hmm.
So you have to meet certain criteria to rank higher on the auction. One of the criteria for Facebook to rank high on the auction is just going to be relevancy on the platform. Like if people are watching your video, or if people are liking your stuff, giving you impressions is what they call it, sharing it, liking it, commenting, that's the higher you're going to rank on the auction. The more impressions you get, the more eyeballs that interact with the videos or the pictures, the higher you rank on the auction. Now, there's something that Facebook calls a threshold. You have to spend, in my opinion, this is not Facebook confirmed. In my opinion, you need to spend at least $600 a month on a campaign in order to rank high on the auction. Because I've tested it so many times, and every time I spend below $600 in a campaign in a month, I rank super low on the auction. And like Facebook will quite literally tell you if you rank low on the auction. It will say below average, and if you're average or above average, it will tell you all those signals to see if you're ranking on the auction or not. And so,
Dude, that is such a good little tidbit, like, because you've done it for over 300 companies, and now with the program over 400. So I mean, you know basically better than anyone else. I think you actually do know better than anyone else when it's in pest control.
thank you.
So that's a good threshold. That, I don't know, maybe if you're just putting a few $100 a month towards it, you probably want to be doing over 600 a month then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at that point you could be literally wasting money because Facebook's not going to put you up high on the auction. And so the thing a lot of people don't know is, and I didn't know this actually until a couple years into it. Luckily, I just had such a good offer and everything was going well that it still was working.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't know is reach doesn't necessarily mean they're going to see it.
Really?
Reach just means that it's on their feed. So think of it as like a giant piece of paper.
Yeah.
And your ad's way, way down here, but they're up here and they have to scroll to get to that. And let's say they stop right here. They still, you technically got reached, but they didn't.
No.
Yeah. So
that is crazy.
They put ads on people's feeds or Instagram or whatever it may be, but it may never actually reach their eyeballs, but it reached them.
Dang. Okay,
Yeah.
that's another thing. I'd say most people never know. So that's another good little hack there.
Yep.
As we start to wrap up here, I'd also like to talk about the funnel. I know, and you actually just mentioned GoHighLevel. How are you guys using GoHighLevel? Do you think every company should be using it? And what does that funnel process look like? So people fill out the lead form, then are they getting followed up immediately? Are you calling them? What does that process look like to close that lead?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because that's super important into making Facebook ads work. Because again, it's way different than like an organic call or a Google Ads call. So we use a lead ad. Our lead ad is going to ask for usually zip code, name, phone number, email, and then we usually ask them like a question about their pest issue, like if it's ants, cockroaches, spiders, whatever it may be. So you want to gather that information up front. Once that lead form is submitted, it goes to that GoHighLevel system. Now, what happens when it hits the GoHighLevel system, it's going to text the owner or the sales rep, and it's going to let them know that they have a lead and they need to call them instantly. We call it speed to lead. Jonas says it all.
Yeah.
Speed to lead, speed to lead, speed to lead. It's the most important thing by far when it comes to Facebook leads. These people are just on Facebook, they're scrolling, they see your stuff, they click on it, they fill out their information. If you don't call them right away, they could forget about you in an hour from now.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be like, and someone's going to call. It's a number that they don't recognize. This is a crazy stat. Do you know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone said that 86% of the people that they call don't answer the phone on the first call. Really? And they say like 80 plus Americans. We'd have to Google it here. I'm sure people can Google it while they're watching.
Yeah.
It's like 80+% of people don't answer a phone call from a number that's not saved in their phone. I don't know if you do that, but if I see a number that's not saved in my phone,
Yeah.
I don't answer it. I just
I
let it
usually
ring.
don't. Yeah.
I'm like, they'll leave a voicemail or they'll text me if they want to get a hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way most people are in the US. So that's why it's so important to call them and then call them back again immediately. Call it a back-to-back call.
Yeah.
You will get so many more answers on a back-to-back call. If you've ever dealt with a Meta rep, a Facebook rep, they'll call you 3 times if you have a scheduled appointment with them.
Dang.
Boom, 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 boom. They'll call you. So when they realize that if you don't have the number saved in their phone, you're just not going to answer it. But if they're calling you 3 times in a row, you're going to be like, who the heck is calling me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really, really helps with Facebook and your conversions. Because they're not going to have, ABC Pest or whatever your company's name is. They're not going to have it saved in their phone.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's really important to it too. Another thing is, say they're at work, they can't answer the phone. You want some sort of text to go out to them. So instead of there sitting and texting all the leads that are coming through, say you have 100 that come through a month, well, you don't want to send all those texts out. GoHighLevel, you can set up a system to actually send out those text messages for you on autopilot. It's a little AI, does it for you. And if they text back, you can even have the AI text them back again, so you don't have to. And so has a little conversation with them. It's amazing. So we recommend that. And then of course you can track everything on there. Who are new leads, who responded to the text messages, who needs to be followed up with, who says they need to talk to their spouse, who we've sold, and then you can move them into your like CRM. This, it's not gonna it's not gonna replace like a CRM, like a Gorilla Desk or a Pest Routes or Field Routes, or it's not gonna replace those.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic for lead nurturing. So
awesome. Okay, so you have to call leads right away, and you have to call them at least twice, maybe even several times if they don't pick up on regarding Facebook ads.
Yes. We're pretty crazy about it. So we call them 3 times a day for the first 5 days.
Wow, that is a lot.
So we call them a lot.
Yeah.
Now, that gets us to that $75 to $150 acquisition costs. Some people think that's nuts. They're like, I would never call that many people. But I'm like, that's fine. But we've closed literally thousands of accounts and built a 7-figure company off of Facebook ads because we do that. And so it's really up to you. We found out another way to do that is by hiring virtual assistants. They're like $6 to $12 an hour, depending on where you get them from. But you can have a virtual assistant call those leads too. That has been a game changer too.
Yeah, awesome. One of the last things I'd like to cover here is retargeting. So you mentioned it earlier, and I'm sure retargeting is more advanced. People probably don't know too much about it. But can you talk about what retargeting is and why it's so important?
Yeah, so there's a few different things. So everyone watching this should definitely have a website, right?
Uh-huh.
So Facebook, one of their retargeting things that you can do is they call it a pixel. Actually, the way my Facebook rep explained it one time is like it's like a little leech. And that little leech you hook to your website, just the header of your website, and it tells you where people went through the website. Let's say if they went to the thank you page or the gallery or whatever it may be, right? It tracks all that. Mm-hmm. Now you can also run Facebook ads to people who have gone to the website. So you can like retarget them. Be like, hey, I saw you into my website. Like you can literally say that.
Yeah.
There's a very famous marketer. You obviously know who he is. His name's Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
He is so good at retargeting ads.
Yeah.
If you've ever gone to his sites, and if anyone's watching this, go to one of Russell Brunson's sites. I promise you'll get retargeted with one of his ads. Yeah. And you can have a very specific message for those people too. You'd be like, hey, saw you into my website. For some reason, you didn't call us. We'd love to take care of your pest control for you. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And so you can retarget that way, or you can retarget from Facebook. So if anyone watched your video, so say they made it, 70% of the way through your video, you can retarget those people who watched a certain percentage of the video. Or you can even do another retargeting tactic where if they go to your lead form and don't fill it out for some reason, let's say they typed in their name and they typed in their email, and then all of a sudden like their kid spilled a glass of milk and they're like, oh shoot, and they put it down and they forget about it. You can send all those people a retargeting ad.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Facebook is it's gotten so good at finding really anyone and everyone. It's quite impressive how vast the back end of Facebook is.
Yeah. So what would you say is the best use case for retargeting for pest control then? Should they be doing what you said or something else?
Yeah, definitely have a pixel on your site. But definitely be retargeting people who went to the lead form that didn't fill it out. Because that does actually happen more often than people think. Because you can retarget people 90 days in the past. So if they went to the lead form for some reason, didn't fill out that lead form and within 90 days, you can retarget all those people. That's where we get really, really cheap leads because those are the people who are thinking about it, but then either something happened and they had to, they're at work and they're like, oh, my boss is coming, and they put their phone down.
Yeah.
Those people are usually interested, but they might not see the ad again unless you do a retargeting ad.
Okay, awesome. So that's a super easy one that everyone should do.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Awesome. And then the last thing I'd like to cover is this Pest Control Millionaires program that you've got. So you run it with Jonas, and I'm going to be releasing a course in there. Can you tell people, maybe they've never even heard of the program, what is it and who's it for?
Yeah, so the Pest Control Millionaires course is Jonas and I, and you are now a part of it too. It's going to be awesome. Jonas and I are quite literally showing what we're doing for our pest control companies on like a daily basis with advertising, like what we're doing for our reactivation campaigns, what we're doing for our upsell campaigns, our Facebook ads, our Google ads, now SEO.
Yeah.
We're covering everything. Door knocking, delegation, systems, SOPs. We cover everything that you would need for your pest control company to scale. And this is not like theory based. We quite literally show you our screens, like what we're doing for ours. Like right now, this isn't stuff we did 6 years ago or whatever. Like the videos are now. Like, and then we do a live Q&A every Thursday. We share our screens with people. We show you what kind of ads we're running, what we're doing at this very moment to grow our pest control companies. It's not theory based. That's why people are loving it, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is like tangible stuff that you guys are doing that's working right now. And that's why I believe it's been so popular because of that. Yeah.
No, it's so awesome. And I mean, you and Jonas are undebatably like some of the top guys in the pest control marketing industry. You've had over 300 pest control clients for your agency. Jonas has a $40 million pest control company, which most people don't even know.
Company.
And he also has some of the biggest socials. I think it has like the number 2 or number 3 YouTube channel for pest control.
Number 4 in the world right now.
Okay.
He'll definitely be number 2 or 1 by the end of this year of largest YouTube channel in America for pest control.
Yeah, no, that's insane. He also has the podcast and everything. Yep. So awesome. And just to be more clear on it, like who exactly is this for? Is it for like let's say a pest control owner has never done anything before. Can they get started with this?
Yeah.
Like brand new, or can companies that are even at $1 million a year plus get into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so one thing, Jonas is an 8-figure earner, has an 8-figure company. So we even have guys in the class right now that are at 8 figures and going to be at 9 figures in the next few years. There's tons of 7 figures, 6 figures, and we actually have some brand spanking new people who joined. So it's pretty cool because you see anyone and everyone has joined the class and everyone is benefiting from it. So there's really no like size of company to be at. You don't need any technical skills whatsoever. That's one of the big things people always ask is, do I need technical skills? And that's not the truth. Everything is in a membership area where people can watch at their own pace. And then if you do have any questions, we always do a Q&A every Thursday and they can ask. But that to answer your question, no, there's no size of company, no, you don't need any special background in advertising or anything like that. You can be at any point and get value out of it.
Awesome. Yeah, so for anyone in pest control and also potentially lawn care, I think that might be available now or in the future. I mean, again, really all the same principles apply. Like I told you off this call, I'll be completely transparent. SEO is basically the same across all home services, but I still do have that pest control expertise, just like you and just like Jonas. So I'm a big believer in the program, and I'm also going to be releasing my course in the program, which is super exciting. And Jake, for people that maybe want to learn more, obviously that they don't have to buy it right now, but how can they learn more about it and then potentially buy the program?
Yeah, so go to pestcontrolmillionaires.com, book a call with either Jonas or I, and we'd be happy to show you the info on what the class entails, see if it makes sense for you. That'd be the fastest way to get a hold of us.
Awesome. Cool, man. It's been so great having you on the show, and I genuinely learned a lot from this one. I know I had you on the local marketing secrets one. We kind of went all over. We were talking about virtual assistants and Facebook ads, but this was like a Facebook ads masterclass. I think this was awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So thanks for coming on the show. And also, where can people find you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah, so obviously they can find me at the pestcontrolmillionaires.com. So where I'm going to be at. Going to be starting a YouTube channel here this year as well.
Nice.
But I am on Facebook. As you know, I'm a Facebook guy.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook all the time. So
let's go.
Just look me up, Jake Sheldon. We're also created a pest control group. It's called Pest Control Professionals. We have a few hundred people in there already, so you can find us there as well. And then we have another Facebook group. It's going to be private for this. So we have, I think, about 100 people in that one. It's the Pest Control Millionaires group.
Awesome.
So that one's a private one. You have to, of course, be a part of the program to enter that one. But I'm always available on my personal Facebook for sure. So
cool, man. All right, cool. So everyone should follow him on Facebook and also go to pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Just check out the program, learn more about it. I hate that everyone sees, I don't know, doing a discovery call, whatever you want to call it, that they're just going to try to sell me the whole time. But part of it is just learning about the program and is this right for you? I mean, me and you have talked, some people just genuinely aren't that ambitious and they don't want to grow to where, and also, maybe digest all the information in the course. So it might not be right for you, but if you are a pest control owner looking to grow, then you should definitely check it out. So, yeah. All right, cool. That's the podcast. Again, thank you so much, Jake, for coming on. And this is the first show. I think this is awesome. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cool, man. Awesome.